Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining, and welcome to the show, Book Parade with Richard Wills, the show for book authors, experts, and entrepreneurs. And I'm your host, and I'm excited about today's show because my studio guest today is Miss Lynette M. Smith, and it's a pleasure to have her here. Lynette is a book author. She's also a professional copy editor. She lives and works in Yorba Linda, California. And she's an all-around author. She's done book signings, interviews, workshops, and group presentations. She's the author of the book, How to Write Heartfelt Letters to Treasure for Special Occasions and Occasions Made Special. Great read, entertaining as well as motivating. Good to see you, Lynette.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for being here.
Sure, my pleasure.
Yeah, great. And what a great book, because your book kind of rekindles the appreciation that we have for writing good old-fashioned letters, which seem to be a lost art. What gave you that idea?
Oh my gosh. November 22nd, 2008 gave me that idea at the rehearsal dinner of my son when he got married. He and his wife presented their respective parents with this letter of appreciation, talking about what it was like growing up in the family, what they appreciated about my husband, what he appreciated about me, and the values he was going to bring forward into his own marriage. Boy, did that touch the heart. There wasn't a dry eye on the house.
Really? Yeah. So that's how you got started, just by that.
Sure.
Man, you
sure.
did. He really, gave you some good ideas, because really the book itself is a treasure itself, and you got the right word in that, treasure, So let's tell us a little about the book, about how did you come up with the title?
Oh my gosh. I had actually become inspired to write the book November 10th, 2011, and just a couple of weeks after that, I was minding my own business, brushing my teeth, and all of a sudden this voice comes in and says, how to write heartfelt letters to treasure for special occasions and occasions made special. And I went, oh, time out, grab the pencil, grab the scratch pad, and I wrote it down word for word as I heard it. And I ran that by other people because, they say you're supposed to look up keywords and that kind of thing.
Right.
I didn't do any of that. I just said, what do you think about this title?
Right.
Expert number one, expert number two. And they all said, hey, it's great. So I thought, I'm going with it.
Yeah, I like the title myself, because a treasure means it's something that you keep, a keepsake, and it's not something you find every day.
Right.
And it is a treasure,
Right.
And let me ask you, how long did it take you to write the book?
Well, I was talking about the whole process as birthing a book, and then I realized one day that the voice that came in, this was the other voice, the same voice, different day, November 10th, said your book will be published by August 15th. And one day I was doing the math partway through this process, and I realized that August 15th would be about 9 months and a week.
Really?
And I thought, well, if that's not conception and delivery, what is?
That is amazing. That is pretty quick to have a book of that research that was done in such a, not even 12 months,
And evenings and weekends, but with discipline, and I knew what the deadline was. I said, okay, first draft by then, second draft by then, third draft here, bring this in, hire my copy editor.
Right.
Just all right in a row and on schedule.
You did an excellent job on that book.
Thank you so much.
And the thing I like about the book is that it provides solutions to challenges that people have in writing letters of appreciation. You can go from writing an appreciation letter to a child, to an adult. You have the whole thing covered there. And so how did you really, look like you did a lot of research on that?
It would seem so, but I did a lot more thinking than research. I did some research, I'll tell you, but that was primarily for one of my favorite chapters that I'll tell you about perhaps later on. But mostly it was about what kinds of letters can anyone, within the realm of possibility write.
Right.
And that expresses their appreciation. What are the occasions, or what are the special situations that might not be on the calendar, but it's still special enough to write a letter?
Okay.
Like an aging relative that you're thinking, before it's too late, I want to let that person know how important he is.
Right. Can you kind of just briefly describe the book for us so we can get a little in-depth idea of what it's all about?
Happy to. It's separated out in 3 parts, and the first part is about the basics: planning, writing, packaging, presenting, and even enhancing the letter.
Right.
And the second part is about these special occasions like Valentine's Day and anniversaries and milestone birthdays, that kind of thing.
Right.
The third part is about the occasions that are made special, such as bringing meaning to a life well lived.
Right.
You know, again, that aging relative or you know, something that's not on the calendar.
Right.
It's not a rite of passage necessarily, but it's important. I wrote a letter to my mentor once,
Okay.
thanking her for all the parts she has played in bringing me to who I am today. Now, that wasn't on the calendar,
Right.
but it was sure special.
Right. Yeah.
And then we have this appendix that's got some really cool stuff in it, too.
That's one of my favorites there,
Yeah.
the appendix. But let me ask you, say a person who just starting out and they want to write a letter of appreciation, what steps should they follow?
It's really pretty basic. You stop, find a quiet place, and think for a while about this person you're writing to and what are their special qualities.
Okay.
Also do a little planning ahead, because suppose you want to frame the letter, you might need to know, but go shopping for the frame so you know how much space you have to write.
Right.
As an example. But when you've thought about that person and what's special about them, maybe the top 2 or 3 qualities you want to expand on, but you might start that letter with a memory, a treasured, shared memory,
Right.
and then talk about their positive qualities, and then talk about what that's meant to you personally and how you're internalizing that into your own life, and then say thank you. That's the letter.
Hey, you make it sound so easy. You really do, okay? And, you know, as far as the book goes, I know most time when authors write a book, they have a special chapter or a favorite chapter that they kind of like a little more. I know when I'm writing, I have a chapter that I think, like I tell someone, hey, when you get my book, read this chapter here. Do you have a chapter like that you like to, you know, recommend if someone were to buy the book?
You bet I do. It's called Cultural and Religious Rites of Passage. What has happened in that chapter, and that's one where I did some fairly extensive research, is I picked up the major world religions and cultures and said, what happens when a baby's born?
Okay.
What do we do? What happens when that baby, you know, gets accepted into the community? Is there some ceremony associated with that?
Right.
What happens later on when they're coming of age at puberty?
Right.
What happens when they get married? And so on and so forth. These stages of life, and I was able to bring together how different cultures and religions worldwide will celebrate those stages.
Right.
But to actually see that, you know, we're not all so different after all. You know, we've got a lot in common with the rest of the world.
Right. That's
so I
so
love
true.
that chapter.
Right. Okay. But you know what's interesting to me? I read the book, and my favorite part of the book is the appendix. You know, and while I say that is because in the appendix you kind of like you go through so many different aspects of writing, especially if you get writer's block. You know, there's one section where you give an interpretation of if you get stuck here, here's some quotes you can use, here's some ideas you can use to really make it sound like it's making sense to you.
Right.
You know, because
right.
I like that part.
Right. It's got the one section about all the positive words about different groups of people,
Right.
and it's got another one about those famous quotations that you can stick one at the beginning or end of your letter.
Right.
And the one you drew attention to a minute ago is the one called Jumpstart Your Sentences.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's,
Great
it's
beginnings.
not templates. It's not templates. It's saying, here's the beginning of a sentence. Now, how would you finish it?
Right. Right. Yeah, I really like that because great beginnings to jumpstart your writing. That really gave me some inspiration because I have to do a presentation like in a week, and just reading that, I got a little idea of where I need to go to keep moving and keep moving forward with that.
Right, it'll keep you moving on the
Right.
process.
Yeah, it does, you know. And basically with the book itself, give us a little idea about some of the people who may have, in addition to your son, who may have given you some inspiration to do the book also.
Well, there's that little voice that said your book will be published by August 15th.
Right.
Not so much a people, but a higher power.
Okay.
And I'm liking that. But as I was working on the book, I had assistance at different times from unexpected sources.
Right.
My hairdresser one day said, oh, this is really cool. I was showing her the table of contents at that stage, and she says,
Okay.
have you thought about a chapter for the military? And I went, oh, good idea.
Right.
And another day, a good friend of mine and I, coming back from Yosemite, or Yellowstone, she was looking at the table of contents and going, you know what I see missing here? is a chapter about thanking a service provider or a product creator.
Right.
And I went, oh, you're right. And so that became another chapter. So
Okay.
that helped round out what the book was about, because I've already got a chapter on career and
Right.
so on, teachers, mentors, coaches, students. So this kind of helped round it out. So that was really helpful.
Yeah, you had a lot of good help. Now you gave a you was telling me about something. I think it was your grandfather or your father-in-law. Your father-in-law, right? And that's Ben
Smith.
Ben Smith. Yeah, tell us about how you came up with that little, I guess, appreciation like plaque type thing.
Well, we have to go back to that appendix with all those positive words. Each
Right.
one of those demographic lists was culled down from over 1,000 words describing a human being
Okay.
to some that would describe, for example, an older man
Okay.
in this case.
Right.
And I took that list and I said, which of these words apply to my father-in-law?
Okay.
And I then, just for fun, made a really neat list out of it and said, you know, Ben Smith, who says you're indescribable?
Right.
And I made a nice alphabetical, colorful list of all these words that described him.
Okay. Can we bring that Ben Smith document up right quick here? Oh yeah, that's it right there. So you really described, it looked like so much you describing on him. It's like, how could someone not say thank you for that, you know?
Yeah,
So-
well, that was given to him on the occasion of his 90th birthday, and it was a very special moment.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
Really? So in your book, do you give people ideas how they can do the same thing to maybe honor someone and give them some, you know, some really appreciation of thanks?
Sure, in the presentation chapter and the enhancement chapter, there are several ideas on things you can do to build around that letter or perhaps in lieu of it, but the letter is really what the book is about.
Okay. And it's a one-of-a-kind book. And what we're going to do, we're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, we're going to find out why your book stands apart from everything else out there.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining us. If you're just joining us, we have my guest today, Richard Wells with Book Parade, and my guest, Lynette M. Smith. She's a book author and a copy editor. So, continuing with the show, I just want to tell everybody out there, the book you wrote has so much information in it. I'm surprised it could be a encyclopedia by itself as far as writing letters.
Oh, wow.
You know, it
Well,
is.
I'm sure glad it was a bit shorter so people aren't scared to buy it.
Right. No, it's a good job. I mean, you did so much good research on there. And because I do a lot of research myself. And for you to come up with everything you did, I mean, it's a good book for anyone who desires to write a decent letter. You know, so tell me this. There are other books out there like yours. What sets yours apart?
Well, mine is honestly unique because so many of the other books, they are templates. There's formula writing. Here's a pat letter to write to your boss to say this. Just do that and fill in the blanks. No. These letters are focused on appreciation, and there is no book out there that focuses on appreciation. And these letters are not templates. They're not fill in the blanks. They are from the heart. So this book guides the writer to get in touch with his feelings and to be able to put those feelings into heartfelt words that will mean a lot to the person they're writing to. And that was the purpose, was to make this a tool. And it's a good, solid tool. I made a point of putting everything in it I thought they could use.
Exactly. And what I like about it is that when you say it's heartfelt, it's like it's not a cookie cutter type deal.
No,
you know, it's not one size fits all.
Every letter would be unique.
Right. And because you see, like you said, some books have these templates where you just follow the yellow brick road, and you're not really touching the heart of the person you're trying to relay this message to.
That's it. These other books are not really asking you to bring your emotion into it.
Right.
They're just saying fill in the blanks.
Right, yeah.
And I would like to add one other thing that's unique about this book is it can be not only for letters, but even thank you notes, even public tributes like eulogies, wedding toasts, that kind of thing.
Right.
Anniversary toasts, they can still draw the same inspiration from these tools.
You covered so much. I mean, you didn't miss a beat on any type of appreciation from a boss to a supervisor at your job to a child. It's like, it's really anyone want to write a letter and you haven't written a letter in a while, this book here will set you on course. That's for sure, you know. And since you are a professional copy editor, did you do your own copy editing?
I did 3 drafts, but I wasn't a fool. I had the good sense to know that everybody needs a second set of eyes.
Exactly.
And there's a very talented lady in Arizona I sent this to for copy editing, but also a little bit of developmental editing to kind of polish up the words and catch the rough spots and make it communicate a little bit better if I had missed something.
Right.
She did a stellar job.
Right, she did. And based on that experience, would you recommend the same thing to anybody else? You know, do your copy editing, send it out to a third party so you can get a new set of eyes looking at that.
Well, it depends on the sequence of what you've got going. I knew how I wanted my book structured, so I didn't bring her in till the end.
Right.
But some people don't know how they want the book structured, so they'll bring in a developmental or a content editor at the beginning. The copy editor's role is only after they've got their final draft that they're really happy with. They send it to the copy editor for that little bit of fine-tuning, you know, and that kind of thing. You don't want to bring a copy editor an interim draft.
Exactly.
It's a waste of money.
It is, right, because
I have to do it again.
Yeah, because once you get the concept in, you got the story there, you just need to want to make sure all the I's are dotted and T's crossed and the P's are there.
You betcha.
Right, and you did an excellent job.
Thank you.
Let me ask you another question here. Okay, I understand that your book is under different multiple formats of looking at the book. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. I have it available, obviously, as printed copy,
Right.
and it's available on all the major online retailers.
Okay.
And it's also available on my own website, goodwaystowrite.com,
Okay.
if you want something autographed or custom inscribed.
Okay.
In addition, though, I have it as an ebook version,
Okay.
and that's available for the Kindle. It's available for the Nook or in other e-reader formats.
Okay.
That people can just go to those same major online retailers and get that version.
Okay, sounds good. And with the different formats now, you really want to make sure that you're reaching the mobile devices and you know the notebooks and everything like that, because right now, even the fact that writing a letter is getting to be a kind of like a lost way of communicating with all these mobile devices. This book here really brings back to someone, hey, I need to write a good letter, because you're texting all the time. Most people, you're texting someone. You're not even talking on the phone as much.
It's temporary.
Right.
It's fleeting. It's gone after it's spoken or after it's texted.
Right.
Or there's a computer crash if it's an email.
Right.
And then what do you do with this treasured thing you can't hold in your hand?
So true. So true.
So you get a letter, you can hold it in your hand, and you get to read it over and over and feel good every time you do.
Right. And as a matter of fact, once someone receives a letter, it's a lot more personal. It's a lot more personal.
It enhances relationships.
Right, yeah.
And really sometimes it rebuilds them, depending on the type of letter.
Right. As far as people who've read your book, you got like any good testimony where someone said, "Oh, I couldn't have done it without you." I'm quite sure, because just by me reading the book, like I said, I'm doing a presentation next week, and you gave me the jump start I needed to move to that next level.
My pleasure.
I really want to say that. Yeah.
Well, I've had from all quarters. And first of all, the book is so unusual that people are going, "Whoa," and then they take a look and they go, "Whoa," and then they get happy and they think, "I think I'm going to write a letter," and so that's the stage where I'm catching them.
Right.
And then they come back later and go, "Boy, that went well. Thank you."
It does. And what I just can't get off of the fact that, it's not a cookie cutter type thing, because most time when you see, people writing letters, it's the same format, same wording, except the name is changed, and they want you to send this out to someone as if you really have some feeling for them. I mean,
because you do.
There. Yeah, right.
You do. Why do you want to get out of a book a cookie cutter?
Right,
when you do have appreciation in your heart.
Exactly. Let me ask you also, what if millions of people worldwide wrote these letters of appreciation? Do you think it would have an impact on the world?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because here's what. On an individual level, it's going to either establish, enhance, or rebuild their own relationships.
Right.
And that is going to change their world around them.
Right.
But you imagine millions of people doing that? That's kind of contagious, isn't it?
It is.
And you know what? Gratitude is the highest expression of love.
It is.
Love is the opposite of fear. And by the way, hate is just a symptom of fear. So if you can overpower fear with love,
Right.
worldwide,
Right.
we got a pretty good world going.
That's right. That's right. And
That's what I like to call my big achievable goal.
okay. Now, going back to the beginning, when you first wrote the book, your son really gave you the inspiration and motivation to do that. You know, I guess that was really touching what he said and everything, and you just took it to a whole new level.
If he hadn't started that, I have no idea what I'd be doing today. That was just wonderful. He wrote from his heart.
Right.
And he communicated why he liked growing up in this family and what he had gotten out of it
Right.
that he was going to bring into his own marriage.
Right.
And isn't that what we all aspire to as parents?
Exactly right. You
So
know,
boy, did that touch our hearts.
and it makes sense too, because if you really think about it, when someone tells you something and then you can put it in writing at the same time, it really enhances it. Like my son, he gave me a card one time. He was telling me thanks for, he's 15 now. I think he wrote this when he was about 12. You know, thank you, Dad, for, you know, fixing me breakfast, taking me to school, helping me with my homework. You know, it had a better effect rather than him just saying, hey, Dad, thanks for breakfast this morning.
Exactly.
You know.
And I have to share this, too. You might have heard this story of a teen boy once who nobody knew it, but he was on the brink of maybe not hanging around much longer.
Right.
It happened that one day his dad tucked a note into his lunch for school, and the note basically said, I appreciate you, son. I've always been grateful for you, and this and kind of thing.
Right.
And that boy, who was going to commit suicide that night, instead turned his life around because he knew he was appreciated. Now, you don't ever know when a letter is going to have that kind of impact.
That's right.
Or
right.
a note.
Exactly.
Never miss an opportunity to express your appreciation.
Right. That is so true, because if you don't say it and it's too late, that's what happens to so many people. They're like, you know, someone leaves this world and they say, oh, I forgot, I could have told them this, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. By that time, it's too late, you know?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
No, it's sort of too late. There are ways you can add ceremony to your gratitude for a person who has passed on.
Okay.
You can still write a letter. You can go to a private place out in the desert by a stream at the beach, read it aloud, and then if you want to, you can save it or give it to that person's descendants, or you can shred it and to the four winds, send it downstream, throw it into the ocean, whatever makes good ceremony for you, but it's closure and it's still expressing gratitude. And I have to believe that gratitude is still received.
Lynette, you know what? I'm glad I said what I said, because I never thought of it like that. You know, and you really can't, you can't just say, oh, well, I forgot, I couldn't do it, you know, they're gone now. Now this is another way of really expressing that gratitude.
That's
and then
right.
you're releasing closure on yourself at the
Yeah.
same time, because
Yeah.
if you just keep going around thinking,
I should have.
Yeah, I should
Woulda,
have.
coulda.
Right, right.
But also, whoever survives that person who died would love to have that letter if you're so inclined to give it to them.
Right, exactly.
Because
right.
they like to know what other people liked about
Right, exactly.
their family member.
You know, and there's so much in the book that not one person can be left out. You know, even holidays, you got days that are not even holidays that I even knew of. You cover them there, you know.
You'll find it.
Yeah, yeah. You can't beat that, you know. Let me ask you this, okay, because we're about to wrap up here, and I just want to let you let the audience know how can they get in touch with you with the book. They need you for a presentation, a book signing, or whatever. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
All my contact information is on the website, goodwaystowrite.com, or you can email me at Lynette@goodwaystowrite.com.
Okay.
Lynette with one N.
Okay, we got that. Okay, and the thing I want to say before we close is that everyone, whether you want to write a letter or not, get this book, because sometime in life you will come up to a point where you want to write a letter. You just got to get this book, because I wasn't even expecting what I got out of the book. You know, I didn't expect what happened, because you know, doing this presentation I'm going to give, it was like someone else wrote the presentation for me. And after reading your book, I'm going to rewrite it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, bring that heart into your
that's right.
work.
Yeah, you can
into
really
what you say.
Yeah, it makes it more personal when you really come from the heart, as
Yes.
opposed to just cookie cutter. Because it just affected me. I got to say that it really
Thank you.
affected me to the point whereas I know now I don't have to use the same letter I was given, and it's a pretty big presentation, and the person I'm presenting, I know them, they know me. So, that being said, get the book.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for being my guest today, Lynette Smith. And you've been watching Book Parade with Richard Wills, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.